said,
"After everything I've done for you, how could you marry that sick girl? She's not just sick. She's a burden."
She turned and fled, running down the street as fast as her leg could carry her. Her body was weak from the stress, and soon her breath became shallow, her vision blurry. Ugochi sat alone on a bench under the shade of a big tree on the campus, clutching her bag tightly in her lap. Her heart was pounding from the familiar pain of a sickle cell crisis that had been brewing for hours. She hated it when this happened, when her body seemed to fail her at the moment, inconvenient moment. She had already missed 2 lectures that week because of it, and she knew that if she didn't get back to her hostel soon, she would be too weak to make it. The warm sun on her skin offered little comfort, and her head felt heavy. She took a deep breath, trying to steady herself, but it didn't help. She wanted to try to let the pain out, but she was used to pushing it all down. No one needed to see that she wasn't the kind of person who liked to make a scene. That was when he appeared. "Are you okay?" a voice asked, breaking through her thoughts. Ugochi looked up, her vision blurry from the pain. Standing before her was a boy she had seen on campus before, Kanmi. She knew he was a Yoruba boy, an only child whose father had passed away when he was 2, and who now lived with his mother. He was always seemed to be smiling, always helping people, always making things easier for everyone around him. But Ugochi didn't know him well, and she wasn't sure she wanted to. "I am fine," Ugochi lied, trying to sit up. But Kanmi wasn't fooled. "You don't look fine," he said, his voice gentle but firm. He sat down next to her without asking. His presence felt warm and comforting. "What is wrong? Is it your head?" Ugochi's chest tightened. She didn't want to talk about it, didn't want to admit that she was struggling again. "I'm just tired," she muttered, looking away. Kanmi wasn't letting her off the hook that easily. He tilted his head, his eyes serious but caring. "You don't look tired, Ugochi. You look sick, and it's okay to admit it." Her heart skipped a beat. He knew her name, though she hadn't expected it. They had spoken a few times in passing, but not enough for him to really know her. She swallowed hard, feeling her body weaken with each passing second. There was no point in hiding it anymore. "I'm a sickle cell carrier," she whispered. "It comes and goes. Today it's bad." Kanmi didn't flinch, didn't look away in discomfort. Instead, he nodded thoughtfully. "I see, but that doesn't change anything, right?" Ugochi blinked, surprised. "What do you mean?" Kanmi smiled softly. "It doesn't change who you are. You are still Ugochi, and I'm still Kanmi, and I'm not going anywhere. No pity, no fear, just acceptance." I guess," Ugochi stammered, unsure of how to react. "You need help getting back to your dorm?" Kanmi asked, looking at her with concern. He didn't wait for her answer. He just stood up and extended his hand. "I will walk you. It's not safe for you to be alone like this." Ugochi hesitated, not used to relying on people, but something about Kanmi's kindness made it hard to refuse. She took his hand, and together they walked towards her dorm. Over the following weeks, Ugochi and Kanmi spent more time together. They saw each other almost every day on campus, shared meals, studied together, and slowly started to become inseparable. Ugochi was still cautious. She had never allowed herself to get too close to anyone, especially with her health condition. She didn't want to burden anyone, especially not someone as kind and hardworking as Kanmi. But Kanmi didn't seem to mind. He always made her feel seen, not just as a sickle cell carrier, but just as a person with hopes and dreams and feelings. He had his own struggle. He was the only child of a single mother who worked tirelessly to support him, selling moi moi on the streets of Lagos. Ugochi had heard bits and pieces about Kanmi's life, about how his father had passed away when he was just 2 years, leaving his mother to raise him all alone. But Kanmi rarely spoke about it. He didn't seem to dwell on the past. He just kept moving forward, working hard, giving what he could to those around him. One afternoon, as they sat on the grass after class, Ugochi finally asked about his family. "I've heard a bit and piece," Ugochi said softly, "but you've never really talked about your dad. What happened?" Kanmi looked at her for a long moment before responding. "He died when I was 2, he said quietly. "I don't remember him. My mom raised me alone. She is strong, stronger than I think anyone realized, but it wasn't easy. She worked hard to make sure I didn't go without something. I would help her hawk the moi moi after school. I would do anything for her." Ugochi was moved by his words. She could see how much he loved his mother, how everything he did was for her. He wasn't just going to school for himself, he was going to school so that one day he could take care of her and give her a better life. As much as Ugochi admired him, she also felt the weight of her own truth. She couldn't help but wonder, could he love her knowing that a sickle cell condition could make their future uncertain? Could he accept the possibility of a life filled with hospital visits, sick days, and struggles that no one outside of her family could understand? Her worries grew, but Kanmi's presence made them fade away, even if just for a while. One afternoon, Ugochi came to visit Kanmi at his one-room apartment. She had been feeling a little better and wanted to surprise him with a visit. What she didn't expect was to be met with a cold reception from his mother. Mama Kanmi, who answered the door. "What are you doing here?" Mama Kanmi asked her, her voice sharp. She eyed Ugochi, her gaze cold and calculating. I just came to see Kanmi," Ugochi said, suddenly feeling very small under Mama Kanmi's gaze. Mama Kanmi's eyes narrowed. "You are the sick girl, right?" she said, her tone disapproving. "What are you doing with my son? You think you can come here and pretend everything is fine? My son doesn't need to marry someone like you." Ugochi's heart sank. She had known that this day might come, but hearing the words spoken so harshly felt like a punch to the gut. She didn't know how to respond. Her throat felt tight and she could feel tears starting to well up in her eyes. "I love Kanmi," Ugochi said, her voice shaking, "and he loves me too. Mama Kanmi cut her off. "You think I don't know what you are doing? You are trying to break his heart. You are a burden to him. Ugochi, don't think for 1 second that I will let you tie him down." Ugochi's hand trembled and she took a step back. She didn't know if she could handle Mama Kanmi's rejection. It hurts. At that moment, Kanmi walked in, his face a picture of confusion and concern when he saw Ugochi standing at the door, tears in her eyes. "Mama, what did you say to her?" he demanded, his voice rising. "How could you treat her like this?" Mama Kanmi folded her arms and turned away. "I won't have my son marry a sick girl who can't even take care of herself. She's going to be a burden, Kanmi. You can't see it, but I can." Kanmi's face hardened and he turned to Ugochi, his eyes filled with apology. "I am sorry," he said, his voice breaking. But Ugochi, she couldn't stay to hear more of this. She turned and fled, running down the street as fast as her leg could carry her. Her body was weak from the stress and soon her breath became shallow, her vision blurry. "Ugochi, wait," Kanmi called after her, but she didn't stop. She kept running. She wasn't sure how far she had run, but soon her legs gave way and she collapsed. Kanmi reached her just as she fell, his arms strung around her waist. He lifted her off the ground. "Don't run from me, Ugochi," he pleaded, his voice desperate. "I won't let you go. I will fight for you. It's you or no one else." Ugochi felt the weight of his words and the warmth of his touch, but she was too exhausted to respond. Everything hurt and all she wanted to do was sleep. Kanmi carried her and ran to the nearest hospital. He called her parents, explaining what had happened. They arrived soon after, and Kanmi's mother had heard about the incident and she rushed to the hospital and made a scene. As time passed, Kanmi's resolve didn't weaken. He graduated with UGOCHI, their love growing stronger despite the obstacles. He secured a job in an oil company and promised her he would take care of her no matter what. 2 years later, Kanmi had bought a house for himself and a small flat for his mother. Secretly, Kanmi married UGOCHI at the court. Kanmi and UGOCHI's secret marriage was everything they had dreamt of: intimate, personal, full of promises for the future. And even though her health was still a daily challenge, but there was one person whose approval they still craved: Kanmi's mother. The very day she found out, Kanmi received a call from her that he had been dreading. "Kanmi, you need to come home now. We need to talk," she said, her voice tight with fury. When Kanmi arrived at her modest apartment, Mama Kanmi wasted no time. She was pacing in her small living room, her eyes wide with anger. She cursed, she shouted and cried, reminding Kanmi how far they had come, how they had struggled, and all the promises Kanmi made to her while growing up. "How could you do this to me?" she shouted.
After everything I've done for you, how could you marry that sick girl? She's not just sick. She's a burden. And you think you can have a happy life with her?
"I love her, Mama," Kanmi said quietly. Mama Kanmi's face twisted in disbelief. "You love her? You love a girl who can't even promise a healthy future? You are making a mistake, Kanmi, a big mistake. What kind of kids do you think she would give you?" Her words cut deep, but Kanmi held his ground. "This is not just about UGOCHI's health, Mama. It's about who she is. She is strong and I love her for who she is. She needs me. I'm not divorcing her. I won't, not now, not for anyone, not ever." Mama Kanmi's eyes narrowed. "Then you have made your choice," she said coldly. "And if you choose her, you choose her alone. I will have nothing to do with you and I will have nothing to do with her." "Please, Mama, don't," Kanmi said. "Don't what, Kanmi?" she interrupted. "You don't get it. You think I will watch you destroy your life for a girl who is going to be nothing but trouble?" Kanmi shook his head, heartbroken but resolute. "I won't let you tear us apart. I'm not going to divorce her. UGOCHI is my wife and I love her more than you can ever understand." Mama Kanmi's face turned pale. Her expression shifted from anger to something more sorrowful. With that, she turned away, her back stiff, her posture frozen in a way Kanmi had not seen before. Without another word, Mama Kanmi left the room, went into the bedroom and slammed the door behind her. Kanmi left the house, hoping that with time his mom would accept things the way it was. After a week, believing she must have calmed down a bit, he called her and her line was off. He immediately drove to her house and met an empty apartment. He searched for her everywhere, at her friends, her sisters, but no one knew where she was. At first, Kanmi felt it was a prank, but it turned into reality. His mom was nowhere to be found. He reported at the police station, went to the media house for anyone who knew where she was, but it seemed Mama Kanmi wasn't on the surface of the earth. This was no longer funny. Kanmi was losing his mind. For the next 6 months, Mama Kanmi's absence was felt in every corner of Kanmi's life. Her disappearance left a hole in Kanmi's heart. UGOCHI had given birth to twins after Mama Kanmi's disappearance, a boy and a girl who miraculously were AA and AS. Kanmi tried to stay strong for his children, but the pain of being cut off from his mother, from the woman who had raised him alone, was unbearable. And to make things worse, his relationship with Ugochi started to feel the strain as well. Ugochi, noticing the change in Kome, felt a growing distance between them. He came home less often, he worked long hours and spent more time away from their home. The home they had once shared as a symbol of their love now felt more like a reminder of the distance between them. Kome had been living in two worlds, one at home with Ugochi and their children, and one at his mother's empty apartment, trying to reconcile the pain and guilt he felt for not being able to fix things with her. Ugochi saw the distance growing between them. She tried several times to correct it, but she failed. He only came home for brief moments once a week just to check on the kids. He was at his mother's empty apartment if he wasn't at work. Most of the night, he would stay awake staring at his phone. Kome, Ugochi said soft one day when he came home to see his kids, reaching out to touch his hand. Why are you so far away from me? You are not really here anymore. You don't talk to me. You don't look at me like you used to. But Kome just pulled away and muttered something about his work. It had been 2 years and 6 months since Mama Kome cut ties with Kome and Ugochi. Life had gone wrong, but it wasn't the same. Ugochi has kept herself busy with the kids and trying to keep up with her health, but the loneliness she felt at home weighed heavily on her. Kome, on the other hand, was still living in his own world. He had lost so much weight as he barely eats. What is the essence of eating when my mom is probably hungry where she was? He didn't stop looking for her. He calls the media and the police from time to time if they had any information about her whereabouts. He felt he has failed his mom and she didn't deserve that. If only I can turn back the ends of time, I will unmarry you, he said in anger to Ugochi one afternoon when she called him to come home. One day when Ugochi took the twins to the hospital for their routine immunization, something unexpected happened. She was sitting in the waiting area when she saw a familiar face holding one of the twins who was playing nearby. A face she hadn't seen in years. It was Kome's mother. Ugochi's heart stopped. She hesitated, unsure if she should approach. Ugochi felt tears welling up in her eyes. She had never expected to see Mama Kome, let alone in this hospital. We didn't know where you were all this time. Kome, it's been lost without you. I know, Mama Kome replied, her voice thick with emotion. And I've been wrong. I was selfish. I should never have pushed him away like I did. I was afraid, Ugochi, afraid of losing him. But I've come to realize something. I don't have to choose. You are both my family. Tears welled up in Ugochi's eyes as she looked at the woman who had once rejected her but now stood before her, ready to accept her after seeing her grandchildren. Together, Ugochi, Mama Kame, and the children took a cab back to Kome's house. When they arrived, they found him sitting on the couch, his face buried in his hands. His mother approached him softly. With a deep breath, she spoke. Kame, look at me, she said softly. Kame looked up, his face a mixture of confusion and relief. Mama, you came back. Mama Kame nodded, and without another word, she walked over to him and hugged him tightly. I am sorry, my son. I've been wrong. I want to be part of your life. I want to be part of Ugochi's life. I want to be part of my grandchildren's life. The reunion was bittersweet, but it marked the beginning of a new chapter for their family. Kame and Ugochi's relationship began to heal, and they moved into a bigger house, a mansion Kame had bought recently. The home became a symbol of new beginning, not just for Kame and Ugochi, but for Mama Kame as well. They all lived together, stronger than ever before, and as the year passed, their love and unity only grew. Kame's heart was whole again. He had his mother back, his wife, and their children. The family was finally at peace, and they lived happily ever after.